Hey, this is Tina with Content Creators Club. I'm so excited to tune into today's content. But if you don't know who I am, I help creators like you build leveraged and profitable content businesses without relying on social media. So if you're tired of the algorithm, you definitely come to the right place. But if you haven't joined Content Creators Club, what are you doing? Go ahead and join with the link in the description below. But I'm super excited because we're going to be talking about this concept of having both. And talking about having the right time, it's not always going to be on your time. I'm going to explain in just a second. But I really want to kind of take you back into some thoughts that I had about money. And so for a long time, I thought that working hard equals more money. And more money, because you have to work hard, means that you have to stay up until 12 in the morning, you have to go all in, and you have to post 24/7. I think at one point there was theory or methodology of like post 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and it just honestly it's way too much work. And so I also thought that if I didn't hustle my way to money or wealth, then I kind of didn't earn my right to make money online. And, I had to challenge this thought process for a very long time because it's really hard for me to not work hard or to just not work, because that's not really what is something that I've learned, but it's also something that's just not inherently in my bloodline. I literally came from I'm a child of immigrants and I know what it feels like. I've seen how the work ethic transitions into multiple generations. And I think it's time to kind of flip its head a little bit on like, okay, do we need to work hard or maybe do we need to work smarter? And so I'm going to give you some kind of history behind a little bit about where I came from. So my father actually immigrated from Guatemala to America when he was 16 with nothing. And when I tell you that hard work is in my bloodline, it really is, because he needed to work hard. He needed to graduate high school. He needed to send money to my grandmother to pay for rent. And he needed to make sure that his immigration was not for nothing. There's so many people who come into America with nothing, and there's a lot more room to fall because you came to America with nothing. And so I definitely credit my father for not only bringing himself, but me being born in America. And so he needed to make sure that the immigration that he did was not for nothing, that he actually made something of his time here. And so I want to credit the fact that there is a time when hustle is necessary. When you literally come from nothing, yes, hustle is required of you because you have so much more to prove. And I get that. And I understand that from a place, but I also see the flip side of it. Growing up with someone who is consistently hustling. I love my father, but he did put in a lot of energy and work. And so growing up, I grew up with a lot of, hey, I can't make it to your talent shows, sweeties. I have to work. A lot of the times that I've heard this thing was like, I have to work. And so, when you're young and you hear that a lot, you don't really grasp the concept of work, but you do grasp the concept of maybe work is more important than showing up for you. And so maybe that was something that I learned at a young age, but that's just the reality of situation. When you need to work hard, you do have to maybe miss a couple of events. And so, I didn't understand when I was 10 years old that he made that sacrifice so that we didn't have to, so that I don't have to say the same things to my children. But he made that sacrifice. He made that hustle. And I don't have any resentment or anything ill against my father. I love him so much. But for a long time, I didn't understand why that person couldn't show up. I didn't get it, right? And so it's not until you have a business that you truly understand maybe why you hear that. And so it didn't really kind of hit home for me until my brother came in from New York. He was visiting from college, and he was actually pissed off at me because I missed Thanksgiving with him to work on, this business, or what this business was 4 years ago. And so it hit me like a ton of bricks when he had told me, "You're becoming like dad." And that hurt because there was some truth to it. The times where he said, "Hey, I can't make it to your talent show." Now that's becoming to me where it's like, "Hey, I can't make it to Thanksgiving." Why? Because I have to work. And so my brother didn't understand that I was working hard so that I can spend more time with him later, right? Because as much as my father has paved the way to get to where we are now, I feel like there's a lot of work that I still want to do, that I want to accomplish in this lifetime. And so I know that there's this element of me of like, I need to work hard so that I can do more and have more time later on in life. But then that's when I realized that an apology came due, not only to my brother for missing Thanksgiving with him when he was in town, but also to my father, because I finally understood what it meant when he said, "Hey, I have to work to miss all my talent shows." And so, if you are someone who's like, who is that person who's like, "Hey, I can't make it to XYZ because you're working," I hear that. I recognize the hustle. I do. But I also recognize the element of it doesn't have to be that way. And so I actually, during this time period, I actually called my dad up. And it's just a random conversation. Literally, I think I was just like walking on the streets and thinking about this. It was like after the post Black Friday aftermath years ago. And so I was like, "Hey dad, like I'm sorry." And he was wondering like why. And I'm like, "I'm sorry for all the years where I was mad at you for working hard and making you feel guilty for not showing up. But more importantly, I'm sorry for making you feel bad about it, for ignoring you, for being a brat and just not being a great daughter. Like, I understand now why you did what you did." And, obviously he was really taken aback. And he was like, he did that for me and my brothers because, coming from Guatemala, it's a very different lifestyle coming with nothing. And so he never wanted his children to be hungry. He never wanted his children to not have clothes on their backs. He never wanted his children to not have a bed to sleep in or a home to sleep in. And so if he has to make that sacrifice, he did. And I'm so grateful that he did, because I get to change the trajectory of what generations in the Lopez family will come in the future, right? Because one person does need to make that sacrifice. And maybe at this point in stage, it's you. Maybe you too need to make that sacrifice because you are in that position where, graduating college, having a business can radically change your life. But I also want to recognize that there is an opportunity to change that, right? Because at the end of the day, like, you have to break the cycle. I think that's what it's called. And so while he radically changed the economic gap from his generation to my generation, it's my responsibility and it's your responsibility to break the hustle more than anything. And it's been hard because I've had to learn what that looks like. What does building a business that doesn't rely on hustle look like? Not many people, there's not many great examples of it, especially in this online industry. And what I've realized, and I've had to learn and unlearn more than anything, is that I don't need to work hard for money. I don't. Money comes naturally to me. It comes easily and effortless to me because I make it so, right? Same thing can be said for you. And it means that you don't, or I don't, need to miss Sunday family dinners just to attend a client meeting. I'd rather be in a position where I spend more time with my family and say no to a client, because that sets the boundary that my family is more important, because it is more important, right? And I don't need to miss future talent shows with my child because of work. One of the reasons why I work so hard now is so that I don't have to do that in the future. I really do care and think about my kids in the future, whenever, maybe 10 years down the line before that happens, right? But that's the thing that I prioritize, right? What I need to do is I need to spend time with my father. He's getting older. I don't have a ton of time on this earth with him, right? And so I need to make memories with both my mom as well as my brothers. Again, time is one of those things that bring the most joy into life, and also it's also one of the assets that you can never get back. But more than anything, I need to prioritize balance and peace, because it doesn't make sense for you to build a business if you don't have both. If you don't have the balance to have the time with your family, your friends, the things that make life more enjoyable, and you don't have the peace knowing that it's okay to do that, then what's the point of building a business, right? Running a business, honestly, is the hardest thing that you can ever do. I do not recommend it to most people because it's extremely hard. But again, it's not worth it if you have to choose between making money versus spending time with your family. I'd rather you be in a position where you get to choose both, because that is your right. It's your right to choose both. And so I choose to build a profitable creator model that allows me to prioritize my family, prioritize my peace, but I still know that cash is in the bank because we use leverage strategies to make it so. And I'm giving you the permission, here's me giving you that permission, that you don't have to choose anymore. What you have to choose is whatever the fuck you want to choose, right? And so I'm inviting you to build a new generation of business that doesn't rely on hustle for money, doesn't rely on a ton of your time to actually have a business that runs without you. So that's my invitation to you. So definitely reply family, and I'll show you the exact roadmap that I use to get there. And only 3 spots are open for this roadmap. So if you are someone who wants to prioritize family, prioritize time, peace, and balance, definitely reply family, and I'll send you more details. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.